Inflation, a term that strikes fear into the hearts of economists and consumers alike. But when was the last time inflation was truly high? The year was 1980, a time when inflation in the United States soared to staggering heights. Double 10% inflation rates were the norm, reaching a peak of over 14% in 1980. The causes of this inflationary spiral were complex, stemming from a combination of factors such as oil price shocks, loose monetary policy, and wage price spirals. The oil crises of the 1970s, triggered by geopolitical events in the Middle East, led to sharp increases in oil prices, driving up production costs across the board. This, in turn, fueled inflation as businesses passed on these higher costs to consumers. The Federal Reserve's response to these challenges also played a significant role in exacerbating inflation. In an effort to stimulate economic growth, the Fed pursued expansionary monetary policies, flooding the economy with liquidity. While this may have provided a short-term boost, it ultimately fueled inflation by increasing the money supply and driving up demand. Additionally, wage price spirals further fueled inflation during this period. As workers demanded higher wages to keep up with rising prices, businesses passed on these increased labor costs to consumers, creating a vicious cycle of inflationary pressures. The consequences of high inflation were far-reaching and severe. Consumers saw their purchasing power eroded as prices skyrocketed, leading to a decline in real wages. Savings were also devalued, as the purchasing power of money diminished rapidly. Businesses faced uncertainty and rising costs, making long-term planning difficult. The economy as a whole suffered from reduced investment, lower productivity, and a general sense of instability. In response to this crisis, policymakers implemented a series of measures to combat inflation. The Federal Reserve, under the leadership of Paul Volcker, adopted a tight monetary policy to rein in inflation. Interest rates were raised to unprecedented levels, reaching nearly 20% in 1981. While these measures were painful in the short term, they were effective in bringing inflation under control. By the mid-1980s, inflation had fallen to more manageable levels, setting the stage for a period of sustained economic growth. So, what can we learn from this episode of high inflation? It serves as a stark reminder of the dangers of unchecked inflation and the importance of sound monetary policy. While inflation may seem like a distant memory in today's low-inflation environment, it is crucial to remain vigilant and proactive in guarding against its resurgence. By understanding the causes and consequences of high inflation, we can better prepare ourselves for the challenges that may lie ahead. As we navigate the complexities of the modern economy, the lessons of the past can serve as a guide to a more stable and prosperous future.